So hopefully it's feeding it. Let me see. Yeah, looking good.
Live.
We are live. Send that tweet, yo.
I did. It's already
All
up.
right.
It got twittered.
All right. Stream number 2, NGBS, right?
Number 2.
That's probably it. Like maybe when we get to 3 or 4, we'll still say 3 or 4, and then we're not gonna count anymore. I don't know, unless you want to count.
I don't know. Math is hard.
It is hard. Math and naming things, right? No, it can't be math.
It's just math.
It's just math. math, and all the things. Awesome. Woohoo. Nice. So yeah, man, we had a good episode on Angular Air today with some RxJS stuff.
I know you and I both just wanted to just switch tonight's topic to just be RxJS based and totally do that.
Yeah, it was funny because we're like before Angular Air went live, tweeted out about doing this whole multi-template thing, and this as we watched the episode, we're like, oh man, I want to write some RxJS, and so maybe we'll work it in somehow.
Oh yeah, you need to observe something, right?
So yeah, for sure, right? Observe some HTML or multiple HTML streams. I don't know. Maybe we'll figure it out.
Exactly.
Cool.
And we do have a topic though. We do. We came on with a plan tonight.
We did.
Because I was good. I didn't call you out last week because we were just gonna do regular just intro. Hey, this is us. This is just us chatting. And then you go like, hey, let's get into our first topic. And I was like, whoa. All right, let's do this. So it's kind of strong, but it went well. I was happy with it.
Yeah, we had a good balance, I think, last time because we did all figuring out some more setup stuff. We still have to do some more of that stuff, right? Like, I don't know, we just cold drop everybody into our stream. We probably need like a little intro screen, some fancy stuff. Says, hey, we're about to be starting. Eventually some music. I don't know.
Oh, that could be fun.
Yeah. Just a little like soft, subtle beat to get you kind of going, and then drop this in.
And kind of give some people a little bit more than just us. Not that we're not enough, but a little bit of pizzazz.
I feel like they want like more than just us, right? They can't just be watching just for us. It's not possible.
Stranger things have happened. Definitely. So
that's true.
I'm going to throw out a word that my daughter, who's now 7, threw out. Is that she told me she wanted eggs, and we're like, all right, well, what kind of eggs does she want? Do you want? She goes, I want zazzy eggs. I want my eggs to be zazzier.
Zazzier eggs.
And my wife and I are scratching our heads and trying to figure it out. What does that mean? Zazzier meant she wanted deviled eggs. But the zazzier part is paprika.
Ooh, I was going to guess that. As soon as you said deviled eggs, I'm like, oh, that's got to be the paprika part.
Yeah. So we're going to try. Yeah, we'll try to make the stream zazzier.
All right. More paprika. So the hashtag for tonight. Hashtag. I don't even know how to spell paprika. Good thing there's Google.
This is true. Well, that's why naming things is hard because you can't spell. Oh, look, we got chat.
We do have chat.
Welcome.
My good friend Cheekin wants me to bring in the dog. So the dog has to be part of the stream.
You got to open the door. You still got daylight there, it looks like.
I do still have. Hey, maybe that's a light coming from another room. I don't know. Yeah, it's daylight. We still have daylight.
That's cool.
Hey, I'll turn the camera here so you can see like out the blinds there. Yeah, I see it's still light.
Oh yeah.
Did you see on Angular Air today when my camera fell?
I did. I didn't see it actually fall. I saw the recovery.
It kind of like fell backwards, so it was facing the ceiling, which I guess is better than something it could have done. And I straightened that thing out, right? So the good thing it was like the middle of, we were looking at somebody at our guest screen, so hopefully it wasn't too crazy, but it wasn't.
See, that's what I miss about Hangouts on Air is that when we presented somebody's screen, the audience can't see us. We can see each other still because it's Hangouts, but it was just the screen that was broadcast out. Yeah.
That's true. That's true. I think that it's like this setup here that we're using now is better for our viewers but yeah, the part that we had before, which was that, oh yeah, our camera's not on screen for a little bit. You get a little break or whatnot.
Absolutely.
Yeah. True, true.
Hold on.
Awesome. I'll have to let the dog hear in a little bit. I think he was sleeping out in some other room. He's getting old, so he might not even want to come in. He might not want to be part of the stream. Who knows? Right?
He doesn't seem too shy,
That's true.
but
That's
he is
true.
a staple of the room.
That's true.
What?
All right, Mike, you got to bring your input volume up if you can, or I got to drop mine. That's the request. Can you make yourself a little louder?
I had a little bit more gain on my DAC over here, so I turned it up as much as I can.
You almost had that thing pegged, right?
Almost. It was like, get it to 100 and then just nudge it back, but it's up at 100. This is all I can do.
It was like all or nothing, right?
Yeah.
All right, Chicken, how's that sound? Is that better? Are we both pretty decent sounding? Too loud? What? You can always turn your volume down that you're listening at. I don't know, or up and down. Just like adjust it while you're. No, never mind.
No, I think the understanding is that he wants to hear me and not you.
Ooh, that's yeah. I can get down with that. I understand. Yeah, I could feel that. I mean, especially. I mean, his friend. He's probably sick of hearing my voice. So.
I hear you. I hear you. All right, I want to fire something.
We got our Angular hats on today. Don't you have one of these too?
I don't. This is all I got.
Really? I thought you had one.
Nope.
You have a lot of Angular stuff, though.
I've got, I think Angular's giving me a drinking problem. It's not because of the alcohol, but what I have is, say, I got a couple pint glasses, 3 mugs, 2 like metal. Oh no, 3 metal like cantina type things.
Yeah.
Oh, it's that wine. I don't know about you. I'm not drinking wine.
Not drinking wine?
No,
ever, or like what are you declaring? I'm done with drinking wine ever again, or
hey, I'm reading from the chat. No, I am not drinking wine. And
oh, gotcha.
Yeah, it wasn't just random. I didn't just pull that.
Oh, you're done. All right.
I guess there's 2 of us. I need to be clear.
Maybe they're asking me. No, this is Diet 7-Up cherry.
Mine is leaded. I don't have the unleaded. No. This is
it's a long day.
BEER.
All right, so we got our hats on. We've got just us. We've got no mascots or anything today, but we do have something cool that we're going to dive into. Trying to figure out.
I have a project set up, and I could post this in the chat too. Let's do that.
Our chat. Okay.
We have our live share set up again,
and we're trying to. Yeah, we want to do this crazy thing, right? We want to make use of VS Code's live share. We're doing it between the 2 of us so we can collaborate and work on code, but we also want to get our viewers connected to it and so they can follow along, right?
Absolutely. Do we have people watching? Yes.
I mean, I don't know if they're watching. Maybe they're watching. They're chatting. So there's that, right?
That's good enough for me.
That's good. It works, right? That's a start. You got to start somewhere.
Absolutely. I'm digging it.
Yeah. So we got live share set up, right? And we're able to set it up to where we can have read-only mode, right? Yep. So that's hopefully a safe thing. We'll find out, right?
I was debating leaving you in read-only mode, but I gave you the read-write access.
All right. Well, you could do that because then that way, if something breaks, it's not my fault, right? Ooh. But then, of course, when everything's amazing, then I didn't contribute, so that's kind of a bummer. So,
yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see if people are able to follow along, and then they can like follow through the code. You can
like chickens trying to get in there.
Yeah.
Is that up yet? So the other little bit of housekeeping, I know that we sprung open the stream last week, but we recorded it last week's stream. It is on YouTube. It is currently processing, and we will share that link out as soon as we have it.
Yeah. So the idea being that that on Twitch we live stream, and Twitch holds it for 12 days, 14 days, something really short, right? So you can go watch it again there, but we want to archive them so people can watch them for eternity, right? Whatever.
I think we may have to base that on the episode and see how it goes.
That's true. That's true. So right now we're planning on just then grabbing everything that got recorded and putting the video on demand up on YouTube channel that we have, right? Does our Twitter account, NGBS_show, have the links on there?
That would be something that would make sense.
We should probably do that.
No, it doesn't have that.
Okay.
Let's see. How do we get to
add that? Our Twitch URL, or yeah.
Oh yeah, see, all those are good things. We should definitely do that. All right.
We were so eager to just kind of like start getting the content out there, right? That we'll slowly build all the infrastructure. I mean, you know, as long as people can find it, how much do they want of that other stuff, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
But we will.
Let's see. We have a YouTube channel. At NGBS. We have our Twitch channel. I'm going to put that as our website, though. We don't have a date of birth, do we? That's not true.
Well, yeah, we do. This thing birthed last week, right?
That's what I was thinking. Oh, but then I don't want Twitter to think that it's a child account.
That's true. But do you have to put a year? I guess we had to put a year then.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm leaving it blank.
All right.
So our web stuff is there now on Twitter under our Twitter account, @NGBS_show.
There, got the overlay. Look, I even found an emoji that somewhat kind of looks like the Twitter thing of old. I don't know.
I think it's perfect.
All right, there we go.
Oh no, I didn't mean to do that. Okay, I'm good. I may have things up.
Did you update the Twitter account?
I did. It's done.
Oh, awesome. Okay, let's see. Aha, YouTube channel, Twitch URL. Perfect. So yeah, everybody can go there, follow that NGBS_show on Twitter, and get the links to where we're going to have these video on demand.
I agree.
DVR copies. I don't know, whatever the term is. Cool.
Yep, we are all set. So what do we want to do? Do we want to get into this? Let's talk about what we're going to talk about.
Yes, I think that's a good idea.
Let's get meta.
Let's get meta. Get meta before we get micro.
Yeah. So let's review. So last week we talked about the provided in. What was that? Is that metadata? Yeah, we're getting meta with metadata now.
Meta.
About what provided in root does within Angular services. So that was really cool to explore that and figure out the differences of how it interacts with modules, components, lazy loaded modules. Yeah.
Right.
I think that went rather well. But
that's one of our goals with this, right? Is to like have this as a platform where we can dive in and hack around and figure things out and discover more things and go into detail and stuff in Angular and kind of explore things. Not so much. So we'll pick a topic and we'll get something that we're excited about doing. And then it's really kind of like, well, what can we discover from this stuff? And what can we build and learn and do, sort of thing. And like you said, we did that with the provided in root to try and see how it actually plays out in all these different scenarios on our last stream. And so for this one, do you want to talk about?
Yeah, sorry, got buzzed on my phone. Needed to check that.
It's all right. We got more than an hour, so it's like we're not on a time crunch. It's, yeah.
I like, and you know what? During the stream, life's gonna happen, right?
Right. Well, like Chappelle said on his latest stand-up, it's like, this ain't high school. Like, answer your phone, right? It's okay. It's fine.
Yeah, but it's also 2019, and who really answers their phone anymore?
I meant like look at it. Sorry, I used the wrong vernacular.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, I'm sorry. I have to accept people to allow them in.
All right.
So I apologize.
That's something new. Okay, so everybody who joins, you have to accept.
Yeah, I have to accept and basically say, hey, you're allowed in. So Chicken, I see that you were there. Oh, yes, update. So
so good. So we'll lay this down now. we'll always run you as control in the live share. So when we blow up and there's like 30,000 people asking to join, you get to control that, right?
That's
Sounds good.
Definitely.
All right.
No,
Such a good friend.
that was me. Yeah, I had it open in the background. I couldn't see. I've only got 2 monitors. So maybe once we get to more streams, I can actually have different things up and have more than one monitor.
There we go. There we go. Okay, so you're letting people in as they want to participate in this, right?
I will. I am ready. I have VS Code in front of me, so I can see that to be able to do that.
I am going to follow you, so mine traverses around you. So what we're going to do tonight, right, is we're going to take kind of this concept of in Angular, we make a component and we have one template for it, right?
Yep.
And so most cases that's fine, but there's several use cases that I could think of and I've come across before where it'd be nice to have like maybe a conditional use this template or use that template or some other type of scenario where you're like, look, I have different markup for a couple different scenarios, but like the core of the component, the logic behind it is going to be the same, right? Think about something like A/B testing where you want to present 2 different views for a component. Where all the logic in the component's the same, you just need to display it view differently, right? Maybe some language differences or all kinds of different things that you can potentially need multiple templates for.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting scenario. For me, it also comes into potentially the idea of even potentially different devices that you want to present information different ways, or logic of conditionally changing that based off of a user's settings too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for things like you can go beyond just maybe like some basic theming, but you're maybe saying like whole structural kind of layout looks different and you want to do something where instead of having something complex in your logic or your template with a bunch of if conditions or something like that, maybe just having 2 separate HTML files is a lot cleaner and easier to maintain, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And whether or not that's different HTML files or if that's even potentially even in the same HTML file with some sort of conditionals within there.
Right. So I for sure can think of some ways that we can do it in a single HTML file, but kind of get around and do sort of things like that. So I think we'll dive in and we'll hack around on that. But really kind of interested, is there any other way that we could potentially do it? Now, I think back into the days of AngularJS, and I'm pretty certain that as you're able to kind of logically display 2 different templates for a controller back in the day.
Yeah.
Can you remember that? I feel like I remember doing that.
I remember back, this was during alpha, and it may have potentially even been during beta, but there was an @component decorator and also an @view decorator. So the concept of the view was completely disconnected from the component itself.
That was alpha Angular. Do we call that Angular 2 alpha? I guess.
Yeah, it was. At that point, it was Angular 2's version, and yeah, I don't remember what version that actually went away, because I remember asking the very question of, all right, well, how do you have different templates with different views with that concept, and trying to find that answer early on. And then obviously the decorators have since changed.
Right.
So, but we do have a second person now in the live share.
Ooh,
Yes.
awesome.
And I see their names, but I think just for privacy or privacy concerns, I won't mention anybody's name, but that's okay.
Cool.
I'll try to keep that hidden during the stream because I don't know.
That's interesting because we won't be able to really like map it, understand like who that is in like the chat, right? Because the chat handle in Twitch is different from what it shows up in live share, right?
That's true. So, people have different accounts and different settings set up there for their names. Yeah, absolutely.
So we'll hide it. We won't show it when we screen share, but y'all out there, if you're connecting, you may have to tell us if you want to point out something like, because we have the ability, right, through the live share, you can click on somebody's name and then it'll take you to what file they're looking at, what line they're looking at. So you can kind of follow along. So as Mike's doing some awesome coding, you could click on his name and VS Code will automatically just keep opening the files that he's in, putting the cursor where he's at, and you can watch him live code, which is really cool, right?
Yeah, because then you don't have to worry about my settings or whatever. You could look at it however you have your VS Code configured, whether or not you like a light theme because you're an animal or what have you, or different font colors or anything like that. Do you have to join VS Code? Is a question in the chat.
Nope.
So in order to use Live Share, you have to have VS Code installed, and there's an extension for VS Code Live Share. And I'll repost the link to the VS Code Live Share. And what it'll do is it'll prompt you to install that. Here, let me post that in chat real quick. You'll have to install the VS Code Live Share extension. And then from there, you'll have to authenticate in one of two ways, unless they added more since I've signed in last, either through a Microsoft account or through GitHub. And what that will allow you to do is to then join the session as well. Although to join as a read-only guest, you may not need an account. That's an interesting point. You could try it without an account, but if you want to join with it,
I bet you probably do. I bet.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Thank you, Chicken.
There are two methods.
5 minutes ago. Thanks. That's more up to date than the last time I authenticated.
It's awesome.
Beer break.
Okay, so we want to try it. We want to kind of hack around with the way that we can do kind of multi-template kind of approach within components, within the structure that we know we have in Angular, right? And then from there, maybe see what we could get to. I have a couple other ideas of how we can also kind of accomplish the same sort of thing. So I don't know. Let's just should we hack at it? Do it?
Yeah, I just found something new. I'll show you as soon as we get to sharing screens because it makes me happy to find new things, new shortcuts.
A new shortcut in VS Code?
Yes, it wasn't. I'll show you what I was trying to do, and I'll recreate. I don't know if I can recreate my excitement, but I'll do my best.
Oh, come on. You can recreate your excitement.
All right.
All right.
I'm going to full screen VS Code because we're not looking at anything yet.
All right. Are you ready for me to
bring
that on the stage?
I am good to go.
All right. Let's do this.
All right. So obviously, not obviously, but when you create a new CLI project, you get this nice app component HTML. And I'll put that over here. And that looks like this over here on the right. So it's running right now. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to delete all of this HTML and delete it. But I didn't realize that my focus was actually over here on the left at the Explorer. So I hit Command A to select all. And it selected all the files in the directory.
Do your excitement.
Yeah.
Whoa. Y'all do. Whoa.
Wow. I can't take your whoa.
Okay. It's got to be
during our Denver talk, you gave a beautiful whoa.
I gave my Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, it was. I can't come near that. I had to go with wow. But wait, it gets better. So I tapped it again.
Yeah.
And it expands up a directory.
Whoa. All right.
And again.
Another one. Give me DJ Khaled. Another one.
Another one. But it keeps on expanding down up the extension.
Wow. Okay. That I didn't know. I knew the select all when you're focused over there, but I did not know it would keep going up. That's really cool.
Yeah. I was pretty happy. Now, I didn't get anywhere because I didn't delete the template yet. But
we learned something new in VS Code.
Yeah, we don't need to talk about the big things. We're not going to actually create multiple templates for a component. But hey, navigating your IDE, all right, we're down with that.
That's what we'll focus on, right? Right.
There we go. All right, let's get rid of that. Whoa, okay. We need an H1 tag. I love Emmet. Multiple templates. Refresh, make sure everything's working.
Multiple templates.
Yes. And then also through Live Share, I don't want to show people's names, but you also get the server running separately as well. So you can actually run the application on your machine as well, which is awesome. So you don't even need to look at my browser because you could have it running locally on your machine too, which is
It's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. Like, yeah, I'm sitting here looking at mine. Let's see, let's go. And I've got a window open in my browser. Actually, just auto launch. As soon as Mike ran the serve on his VS Code, my machine opened up a browser with the web app running, right? Yeah. And now I get to see my browser. Not only my VS Code is refreshing as he writing code, but my browser is updating as well. I feel a little like, did I really want to allow all of that kind of tunneling? But at the same time, I do, because this is really cool. But like, part of me is like, well, I just shared VS Code. Why are you all up in my browser as well? But
I'm sharing all 4,200 of my port.
Right. That's a lot of ports. That's how that works, right? Like with port 4,200, you're sharing 4,200 ports, right?
Not just I agree. That's why SSH and HTTPS is run at what, 443, which is a lot higher and therefore more secure than HTTP over 80.
All right. So the lower the number of the port, the less ports that are being shared. Okay. Just a disclaimer.
We need a disclaimer.
Right.
This is a joke. It does not make it more secure by having a higher port number. Okay.
Right. And it's one port, not multiple ports.
Yes. Get your certificates. Run everything over HTTPS, please.
All right. I use port 1. I mean, it's like the most secure ever.
I've never tried.
I'm not
going to now.
A thing?
Yeah.
Why not just ng serve with the port -- port 1?
I could, but yeah, then I have to rebuild. No, we're gonna stick with the rebuilds and leave it.
All right. If there's time, if we have some time,
yeah,
we'll try that.
I don't know. I have a hard stop at 9 a.m. tomorrow for work, so
okay.
So just a little shy of 11 and a half hours left.
We might have time. I wonder if you need to increase that font a little bit.
What?
Yeah, we got some old people in the chat. Well, one old person in the chat. That's like my age, so it's pretty old. But
okay, hold on. Let's take a step back. I'm in the chat to help monitor the chat. Are you referring to me?
Yeah, we're both in the chat. So like, we need to see probably a larger font, right, for the screen. Because even if I go like this full screen, right, and you don't even see our mugs, I think it's okay. But it depends on what people are watching on, right? I mean, if they're on
true
mobile devices, then you can pop it up like 2 maybe.
So I have to say, I'm a little disappointed by the live dashboard stats. I'm not seeing anything refreshing there.
Oh, and Twitch?
Yeah, there's nothing there.
Yeah, it shows like 0 viewers, right? Like, what's the deal?
I mean, there's people in the chat and people watching. I go to the other of the actual stream and I see it there. It's weird.
Maybe it's a bug.
Yeah, we'll call it a bug.
Call it a bug. Maybe it's a feature bug. I don't know.
All right.
So use somebody that worked at Twitch.
Do you know anyone?
I can't confirm or deny that, but it's possible.
Okay, excellent.
All right. Multiple templates. Let's do something here.
Yes. All right. So maybe, look, we have an H2.
Because you still didn't bump your font up, though. Can I bump it up from my VS Code to be
down? All right, bump. All right, but if I can't find code.
All right.
Does this count as 2 templates, or are we not talking about just having 2 tags?
Yeah, 2 tags is different, right?
Yeah. What is it?
It's like one or the other. You got to have one or the other.
Whoa.
Wait, what? Dude, this is becoming a VS Code live share.
I can create a discussion, right?
Well, why would you want to create a discussion with yourself? Why don't I create a discussion?
I have no idea.
Whoa, I got kicked out of that.
That happened.
All right. I put a comment in there.
Up here?
Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
All right. So I guess in the case where we're not, well, this is a case where maybe, our viewers could, I wonder if with read only, if they could do that.
I don't know if you're in the chat and you're looking, start a discussion.
See if you can start a discussion. It was a little plus that showed up in the gutter there on the left by the line numbers, right?
Yeah.
And see if you can type a message in there or something. Oh, must not get in read only.
Okay.
All right, so that would be handy in the case that, you weren't on a live webcam call with somebody, with your good friend, and chat and code, and then you could use the text, right?
Absolutely.
Or, if you'd rather prefer to read, that sort of thing, or whatever.
I agree. All right, so multiple templates. Let's talk about that because, well, first of all, go over how you actually set up a template. So in here, you have your template URL, which can point to an HTML file. That's one way to do it. And just to be clear, you could also say that the template is just an inline string. So let's comment this out, and we can say we'll put an H2 here. Let's make an H1 for consistency. And then in here, we're just going to say inline template. I'm going to save that. Oh, I need a comma here. Chrome telling me I did something wrong again. And here it says inline template because this is what we're using. All right.
So this is, I kind of want to talk about this a little bit because this is kind of where I look at it and go, man, there's some things I wish I had in Angular, right? Yeah. And I think this is one of the things when I think back to Angular JS that I was able to do is I believe we could like set up a function, right, for like the template for the output, that then you'd be able to use that function and put in logic and say display this or display that, right? Full blocks of HTML or whatever, conditionally based on some other type of, JavaScript code or TypeScript code if you were using TypeScript. And that's where I look at the component metadata decorator, the component decorator and the metadata that we pass into it and say, man, it would be nice if I could have maybe like the styles URLs have like template URLs, right? That would have a URL and then maybe be able to pass in a function that would evaluate to whether that one is active or not. And then I could do some logic based on that potentially, right?
Almost like function template chooser.
Yeah.
See, I told you naming things is easy.
Sometimes it just comes to you, right? It's like no problem.
Yeah, and this would be like a.html or whatever. If Matt, see, I'm going to actually write code now.
Oh, man.
Is greater than 0.5.
I don't know if it's Suhas in our chat. That's the name, that the handle. I'm saying that right, but asked, isn't metadata and decorator just an object? Yeah, we're passing an object literal. Now it's got me thinking, like, could we just? Yeah, we certainly could then build that.
I know that this needs to be
out, right? Yeah, what you're doing, right?
Yeah, well, we're okay. We're trying this.
Mike's already doing it. You're in one with the chat right now. How does it? I didn't know you were going here. I like this.
I didn't either. It's just happening.
It just happened.
App component 2.html. All right, let's copy this. All right, we'll rename this to app component 2. Okay, maybe naming things is hard. Maybe this is just going to be a quick stream because this is awesome. Right?
Uh-huh.
I'm just saving everything. Let's see what happens. All right. So
I know why.
It's just returning a string and say, hey, this is the template.
Uh-huh. But you have to have a path to it, right?
Oh, that's right.
Would that make a difference? It might not make a difference here, but oh yeah, because you put no wait, yeah. Let's try that first. I don't know if that's gonna.
I don't think it is. I think it's just saying, oh no, that's the template. Yeah.
I know why. And you're gonna have to go back to your CLI roots. Because the CLI is processing that, right?
Oh yeah, it's evaluating that build time. So every time I run, so that's app component.
Because we get the / relative path because we're using the CLI, right? Because the CLI knows how to actually find where that file is.
Let's do this. And then it won't actually run on the console. It's actually run the build time. So let's do this, and then we're going to say plus rn dot toString. That's 0.8, so it is more than 0.5. So that happened. So if I refresh, but if I refresh the browser, oh, that's interesting. Because that's not doing a rebuild. That's not happening at build time. Ooh.
So it's run. I like how our plan was to start out with like how you can simply do something in the markup, but we're just jumping like right into the complex part, which is something we want to solve eventually.
Hey,
right?
you brought this up as, hey, wouldn't it be cool if?
That's true.
All right.
That's true.
We're going to try this. Actually, we want to require, right? See if it'll actually resolve the full template at that time. Whoa.
So put the
Sorry, go ahead.
why is it rendering that text when you got the template URL?
Because it thinks this is just that this is the actual template. Let's resolve it. So let's try.
What do you put the full path to it?
No, I don't think that's it. Yep. Because if I put that there, it's going to come out here. Yeah, it's taken this as being the HTML that is the template itself.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I was trying the require piece. Interesting. What? All right.
So what is it doing? It's running this function.
Yes. And what it's getting back from that is what it's using as the template. So when it's returning that as a string versus as a path. Huh.
So did you try require? I missed it. Did you put require in there?
I tried. Yes, I did try require. And it did not like that whatsoever.
Did it not like it because the path that you were requiring was not the right path?
No, because that should be right. Except it won't be able to find that file at runtime, since obviously it's doing this at runtime, right?
I think it requires at build time, right?
No, watch. Because if I return rn here, toString.
Oh, yeah.
It thinks that, oh. No, oh, because it can't do that. Okay. All right, so let's, instead of doing this.
Yeah, but the require at build time will put that in line right there, right? We'll have it as a part of it, like it's already fetched it and built it as part of the bundle.
Yeah.
And then the function will return that bundle or the other bundle chunk, right? Or piece or whatever.
Let's do star as template 1 from here. Oop. From there. Star as.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Suas, I'm assuming Suas is the username. Mention what if you use template as opposed to template URL and import. So like do your require, but make it template instead of template URL in the component metadata.
Yeah. Why don't you like this? Can I find module? Why does it not like that?
Because you can be able to import an HTML file.
Yeah.
TypeScript probably doesn't know how to do that.
There's no loader for it.
Right. Go back to your require and then
Do
or
it
was
here.
it broken completely?
So you're saying const t1 equals require?
Sure.
That t2 boop. Hear that?
I got you. Boom.
Ah, thank you.
Okay, so now change this down here to template.
Yeah, but we're still getting a no loader error. Because it's basically saying, I have no idea how to go get that file. Because it's not really a module. Oh, wait, I am not getting into trying to configure Webpack tonight.
What was that?
I'm not getting into try and write a Webpack loader tonight.
Oh yeah, no, we got to solve it without that.
Yeah.
So, you actually know you may need an appropriate loader to handle this file type. Currently, no.
Yeah, so it's basically saying, hey, you're requiring this thing, but I have no idea how to load that. Right?
Because we can't require in the HTML because it's the loader for the HTML type, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so what does the CLI do at build time to fix those relative paths? Right. So if we just had template URL and we had a ./app component HTML.
Okay, let's go back to that. You're talking about template URL and that, right?
Right. And so the CLI is giving us some magic to make it for the fact that we can do ./app component HTML here, right?
Yes.
Unless things have changed since long ago, but I remember that was one of the things. Like if you use System.js, right, you didn't use CLI, you would have to be doing a different path to these HTML files.
I remember having to use full paths within the template URLs for that. Full relative to the project root.
The project root.
Yeah.
And so
it's basically saying, all right, this is the path that you're giving me to the HTML file. I can reconcile that based off of the directory of where the component is.
Right.
I'm going to get rid of this and go back to where we started from.
Yeah.
But it was definitely an interesting experiment.
So that decorator, the component decorator, right? Angular is going to use that to build up all that information, put it onto the class, and then do the Angular compile, which will take all that template, will take the logic, and we'll build it into the final bundle that goes out the door as JavaScript, right? Because our templates, our markup ends up in JavaScript as part of the payload that goes across to whoever's going to be pulling up the site, right?
Correct.
So it's kind of like the step of some things have to happen before other things happen, and timing and stuff like that. So it's kind of gets real tricky for how do you do that? And then there's kind of like a two stages where you might want to do a different template, right? And timing wise, you might want to do it, before the component is instantiated and run, but you also might want to do it based on some logic inside of the component, in the class field or something that changes. You may want to swap out that sort of thing. So those are two different, I guess, animals to tackle. But
so yeah, let's set up that scenario real quick. So they say we have a value, right? Or they could have either the value of 1 or 2, right? And then we'll also give the ability to set value, which is going to be a function that takes in a val as a number.
You didn't see nothing. You can see nothing.
Watch, I've got prettier setup on this program.
I'm your prettier, dude. I'm your prettier.
Oh, see, save and done.
You're trying to show that, right?
Yeah. Well, I showed you earlier. I have set up a snippet to be able to configure, or for my prettier configuration.
You shouldn't have given me
project. What's that?
I said you shouldn't have given me right access if you don't want to me to be fooling around.
Yeah, I should have revoked that. That's all right.
It's quite all right.
It's not showing how many people are in here. Cool. Invite others. Read only terminal. What?
I see 2.
I'm not seeing that. Is that because I'm too small? Oh, yeah. I guess I had too much stuff over here. So here you go.
2. Yeah, there you go.
Cool. All right. So if we have this, so what we want to do is inside of our template, have the ability to set temp. So let's create a button. And we need 2 of them, right? So set value to 2. Well, I guess we should do 1 at set value to 2. Wrap and a div. Wrap and a div. All right, and then inside this, we want to click handler, and we're going to call set value and set value to 1, and change this one to be a 2. And then in here, create paragraph, and inside here, we're going to say value. Value is this. If I did everything right, value should be 1. I set it to 2. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Do you like orange? You like the orange there?
I do like the orange.
I
mean, I can barely see it because, not zoomed in the browser, but I do like the orange.
That's too. There we go. I don't want to wrap. I came in here, not the power settings, leave me be, in general, and I changed my color to orange.
Oh, you themed out your operating system? We used to do that on Windows back in the day.
Yeah, I was watching some video about Mac utilities today, and they were talking about switching between light and dark theme dynamically. And while I was wondering why somebody would switch to a light theme, I saw orange, and I was like, oh, I need orange in my life.
All right.
I'm a big fan of orange.
That's totally like theme. Hey, did you ever remember back in the day with the splash screen for Windows? Did you ever hack into that thing and change your splash screen for Windows?
No, I stopped doing things like that when
you grew up.
No, I had a blue screen screensaver, like a reboot loop blue screen screensaver. And I left my monitor on one night at work, and one of the guys thought my machine was failing and powered off, and I had a bunch of unsaved things. And after losing work, I decided, no, straight, whatever it is, I'm leaving it as it is.
That's one of my favorite stories. I like that one.
I was very unhappy. All right. So all I did was add the ability to set the value, right?
Okay. So 2 different buttons, right?
Yeah.
So I'm assuming the idea is that we really, really want to show like one or the other, like in terms of a template, right?
Exactly. And I figure from here, this will be our parent, and we should create a child component to be able to toggle the templates inside there. Does that make sense with you?
Child component, toggle the template. So we'll have a parent component that then will conditionally render one template or the other. Essentially, each template is really its own component.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yes, it'll be one component that'll have multiple templates inside of it.
Gotcha.
Based off of an input coming in. That make sense?
We're solving the multiple templates in this scenario by actually having 2 full-blown components.
Well,
for that template.
Potentially. Let's see what we can do within here. So what do we want to call our child component? Uh,
Button 1. Is that what we're putting in? Button 1 and button 2?
no, I was thinking we have one child component and value would be an input to it.
Value would be. So what's our child component going to be for?
I don't know. Let's just create child component. Okay, let's just roll.
All right.
It'll be called child. Oh, this is as a dad, this is not going to make me happy.
Oh, so you're thinking the buttons are what we're going to display the right template with.
Yeah, but now we have BS child.
Gotcha.
And then
We have a lot of BS things if BS is our thing. So, oh well.
Yeah, so the template number, right, is going to be equal to value.
Uh-huh.
So we need to go into the child component.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, and in here we're going to create an at input and call it that. What did I not put that on?
We're setting up the parent just to be this orchestrator so that we can like do our stuff in terms of what template we want to show.
Exactly, because we want to talk about being able to switch these things. And if we come in here and we'll put another P tag, and in here we will display the template number.
Gotcha. Okay.
Save everything. And then all we're going to do is we should see the temple value change inside. 2, 1, 2. And that makes sense because this is being rendered from the parent and this is the child here. And we're passing the value in. So now we can keep with the same parent. And if we create multiple different ways of doing this, we can just control that from the parent template.
Gotcha.
Just a way to be able to look at this and work. All right.
Now we're going to want to, in our child component, right?
Yes.
We're going to display one template or the other based on the number, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
we can do that within ng container. We can do that within ng template, right? And container.
I like that idea. So you mentioned the idea of doing the ng container. And while I start typing out the templates, you want to talk about what a container is?
Yeah, container is one of my favorite ones, right? ng containers, an element that Angular is going to work with, right? That is basically a placeholder, really, and without any rendered DOM as a side effect. So ng container, you can attach structural directives to it, like ngIf, ng4, that sort of thing, and it will then use that ng container, and in its place will render out the DOM that you have within your ng container. So you don't get an actual like let's say you wanted to do an ng4 and you had a div and then you had two child elements that are siblings underneath inside of that div, like a span and then a p tag, right? And you want to render both the span and the p tag at the same time if some condition is met. And you think, well, I got to have a div around those two in order to attach an ngIf to it, right? A structural directive to it. Well, you could put an ng container around those two, attach the structural directive to it, and then not have that parent DOM element as part of your final output. So you can reduce that DOM. So that's one of the cool things about ng container. The other thing we could do with it, we could use like the structural directive of ngIf with it and use the else statement with that and target another ng template to render in its place if we didn't want to render that.
Yeah. So thank you for explaining that and gave me a chance to do a little bit of typing here. So what I did is I added the ng container, and this is where we're actually going to render what we were talking about as you went over. And I created two templates with a template reference variable of temple1 and temple2. And then inside each one just gave it some sort of content. And we can wrap that inside of paragraph tags, right? I didn't want the closing tag there. Do that. I can HTML. All right. And then what I did is because conditionally we want to be able to set which one we want to use is I got reference to those inside the template.
Okay,
right?
so you're using the view child decorator,
Yes.
right? And we showed that off in our talk at Angular Denver.
Yes.
And we're using that to in our component TypeScript file, in our class file, to be able to get a handle to the instance of that particular element that's within our template, right?
Yes.
So now the code can do some stuff.
And I just want to go, what is that here? We are not very well set up here, are we? What is this? Body? There's a lot of styles in here. That was HTML. No? Why am I not seeing things here? Is it just because I don't have enough real estate? Yeah, I guess so. Let's go down. There we go. Okay. So I just want to show that in here for BS Child, we're not rendering anything. So even though we have those templates, they're not being rendered at all. Nothing's being rendered because there's nothing specified to go inside the container.
So no extra DOM elements, anything right now.
Correct. So we're pretty clean at this point. But what we need to do is to be able to set what content is going to go inside of the container. Right. And I forget what the name of the property is inside of ng container to specify there. So let's look it up. And inside of angular.io, we can search for.
I'm trying really hard to remember it before you get there, but I'm not. It's not coming to me.
Template outlet.
Outlet. It's like grocery outlet, but for templates.
So we want the ng template out.
Do you have grocery outlets out there where you're at?
No.
They have commercials with Muppets? No, not the actual Muppets. Kind of like the GoBots of Muppets. I don't know.
No, Justin, no. I'm going to just go with no on that. All right. So we want to specify the ng template outlet is going to be equal to, and we can just set it right now. We're just going to hard code it to always be template 1. And then we need to go back to our okay, you can go away. And then we see we have template 1 because we've then said, hey, the template we want to use within here is that one. Change that to 2. And that's great, but I don't think it's really a good idea to have users go in and say, hey, this is the template that I want to use. That would probably not be the right way to do that.
You have to rebuild Angular each time, right?
Yeah. So maybe that is a use case to go live with a CLI dev server.
Yeah.
So let's figure out a way to specify the
warning that says I shouldn't go live with the CLI dev server.
Yeah. Let's just call that a good idea. All right. So let's figure out a way to say this is the template that I want to use. And actually we want to do this after viewing it, right?
Yeah.
And I'm just going to put that there. And then I'm just going to go and get rid of both of those and say, hey, I'm going to implement that. What? All right. Yeah, now you're good. All right. Thank you. All right. So template to use, we want actually that to be something. That's not good. We should put a type on that, huh?
Yeah, but don't put an any on it. You got to put a actual type in it.
Template ref work for you?
That works for me.
I put that in there. We're going to, Justin, this is too much. I got to zoom out a little bit.
Oh, all right. All right. Well, you don't have Prettier set up to like a maximum width and have it auto do for that width?
I do. Nope, sorry. Package JSON. I do. Scroll. Print width 80.
So maybe like 4.
Funny guy.
I can read that. It's like the Matrix, dude. Just straight down, up, down code. You know, totally.
What is it? Why are you complaining? Oh, it needs a type of what's on there. Justin, I'm going to have to use an any.
No.
Yeah, because I don't. It's a template reference of some kind, right? But maybe we can do better. Let's see.
I like when you use that term. Maybe we could do better.
Yeah.
Use that in our talk, and I thought it was very elegant.
So, okay, it's complaining that this doesn't have a type and this doesn't have a type. Now they have types. So what we need to do is a way of saying, hey, the template to use is something. So right now, based off our HTML on the right, we're using that template 1 or 2. So let's use template 1. Right? So let's say, hey, the template we want to use is template 1. Right?
Right.
So when I save this, we're setting this variable here, and it's saying, hey, use this template.
I am template 1.
I like it.
I like it too.
And then we could put an if here. If this dot temp, what? I did not type that well. This dot template number.
So that's what I've seen. I think I was mentioning this to you a couple weeks ago and asking if you saw that in VS Code, where your cursor will jump after you do a dot, like back over. It looked like that's what happened. The same thing I've been experiencing. I wonder if other people experience that.
Still haven't experienced it. I'm ignoring what you said. I'm
Didn't-
not switching.
I'm going to see. I'm going to put a, what do I do? I can put like a, I don't even remember what it's called.
All right. So I just
Highlight.
added logic to change our template based off of the template number.
Okay.
So if it's 1, use template 1. Otherwise, use template 2. So now we have a dynamic.
Font ligatures there.
Yeah. Do you want me to turn those off? Is that confusing?
Do you have them on? Is that what it looks like for your triple equals?
It
guess
does.
so.
Where's my ligatures? Here we go.
Yeah, you do have. All right. The font I use has 3 lines.
What?
Doom, doom, doom. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it does.
I don't believe you. Oh, it doesn't like that because I had it specified twice.
Did you have it off?
I just turned it off for you.
Okay. All right. No, I liked it on. I was confused because it didn't look like my ligatures. And so, didn't know we'd have totally different ligatures.
Different fonts. I have good fonts. You don't.
Nice. I like my font.
All right. So based off of what we set up here, we should be able to change the template dynamically, right?
Yep.
Based off of that.
What's happening? What's happening? Why is it not working?
I know. Do you? Justin?
I'm thinking, I'm processing.
All right, you process.
Do you have that logic in the template yet to check that value? Wait, no, it doesn't matter. What template to use? That template to use. Yeah.
We're assigning that.
Is it because we got static false on the view child?
What's static false on the view child? Oh, no.
Probably not.
That's determining when you get the template.
Yeah.
All right. I'll give you a Jeopardy countdown. Without the Jeopardy theme song, it's a silent Jeopardy countdown.
I asked the chat for Lifeline. Am I mixing shows now?
I think that's the right way to do it.
I'm going to call onto the chat.
Phone a friend.
Phone a Twitch friend.
Slack a friend.
Twitch a friend.
Yeah, Twitch a friend.
All
right.
Go to Twitter. Paste your code out there.
Post a Stack Overflow.
So template number, if it equals 1, we're passing in the template number.
Let's highlight some code here.
Okay. After viewing it. Yeah, because it's only running once. It's not every time template number changes.
Yep. So whenever this is run is only after the view is initialized, which only happens once. And yes. And it's always 1 when it comes in because the parent always initializes it to 1.
right? So we want it whenever the input value changes to reevaluate that statement.
Very, very true. Yes. The way to do that is, so let's do this and let's extract this into a private function. Set template. And rather than pass anything in, we'll just call that because it's private, right?
What did we determine last week? Now we're going to name them.
It was no underscore.
All right, no underscore.
I remember.
You got to keep me in check, Mike. I live for the moment. Sometimes I forget the past.
What is this?
Something I don't like. Simple changes.
Change or changes?
Plural. It's a collection of simple change.
Is it really?
Yeah. I believe so. Well, it's an object. I think it's like an object that has, yeah. The name of the
We only have one thing to change. All right. If sc dot so. Well, first of all, hold on. What is this complaint about? Oh, it should be okay.
Gotta implement that. Practice good TypeScript.
Okay. All right. SC has no methods on it.
But
right?
you should be able to do sc dot.
You
should be able to do sc dot and then template number.
Yeah, but doesn't this have a current value?
Yeah, it's like current value and previous value.
All right. I'm not worried about performance. Let's just, anytime something changes, let's set the template.
Okay.
And then if we need to optimize, we can. There we go.
Hey.
So what we're doing now is doing something, setting the appropriate template whenever a value changes.
Right. Okay, so we've got this component that supports two different templates inside of it, right?
I think we're done. End of live stream.
Quit. End broadcast. There it is. Let me click that. No. All right, so let's go back to the template, the child component template. Right. So here we got the scenario where we say, hey, we want to display this component in two different ways. And we have a setup and we have some logic that we can control. Well, in this case, it's to be an input, but it could be whatever, right? And that logic is controlling which template to put inside of that ng container. And so now we could build out all of our markup that's unique for each of these different views, essentially, the looks of these views, and bring that all together here.
Let me go over one thing real quick. I want to create this property. Now is going to be a string, and inside of our is going to complain at me again. ng on init set interval, and we're not doing any properties. Let's say this dot now is equal to new date. And we're going to update that every second.
You're using a set interval in there?
I am, just to have some sort of property that is being updated, right?
Why don't we use RxJS interval?
Because I don't want to do that.
But it's part of the library. It's part of Angular.
Right. You know what? Yes, we're good. All right, and
well, I was just talking about using the interval from RxJS. But I mean, if you want to go here, I'm fine with that too.
Yeah. All right. Now we're using this. And what? Oh, that's right. We're doing numbers.
Right. Right. So let me tell you why I like the thought of this.
Wait,
Right?
hang on, because now I need to ask another question. And this is more meta for the sake of our stream. Observables. Suffix with $sign or no?
You asking me now, or are you asking?
I'm asking you.
So I don't know. I hate making this decision. I recently just go with the $sign, but
I personally really don't like the $sign. However, I'm going to add it in here for a reason. So we're going to put that in. That's not that.
that's not gonna work.
All right, so let's go in and we need to update our template. So select both of those and they know this. But we have to remember to do the async pipe. And that's all fine and good, right?
I mean, it's sure.
Okay. So where I struggle now is if I say you have a div and inside here you got your ng4 or we're doing if and we say all right as now and show now, right? Without using the $sign, you run into naming conflicts now that I have now and now. But what is this? Is this the observable or is this what I've held now? All that.
That's why the $sign.
That's why I've rechanged my mental thinking of to use the $sign for that purpose.
Yep. Glad you illustrated that because that's exactly why. Yep.
All right. So
other things, you could go Hungarian notation or something crazy, right? Call it stream, now stream or whatever. But yeah.
But I wanted to also put this in here to show that we are actually showing values in here, right? That uses the same bindings. So we have the same context to be able to say inside of those child templates, whatever we do within our component is available within these templates as well.
Right. So like if you click value 1, value 2, the timer's still going, right? No matter you change the template. It's not. Do you know why?
Our component should be reinitialized.
Well, the component's initialized once, right?
Yep. Because what is happening is that this now resubscribes to that observable, therefore resetting the interval.
You didn't even have to go to the Twitch lifeline and call in. I like that. Nice. Yeah. Yeah, because that template, right?
I got the timer today to an angular error.
Because that template, the ng template, it's doing the structural directive with the template outlet, right?
Yes.
So it's completely removing that DOM logic and then it's re-adding it. So each time it adds, then it runs the async pipe again, right? Which establishes a new stream. So as you switch from template 1 to template 2, it says start a new subscription, right?
All right. So let's go back to this. And instead of doing this, right? And instead of that, let's do with now. And this is just me playing. This is a way of trying to say, hey, can we still work if the templates are still inside of an ng if to use that now? Now we're not getting any template. Right?
Yeah.
But I would imagine that we should be getting a template at that point, right?
When does the timer start running? Because is the now stream not up when the template gets set?
That's true. So ngIf is false at that point.
Right.
Yeah. And therefore it doesn't find the template, but I'm not sure what makes it find it here.
Well, what's the code? I'm asking you. Show me the code. I can just go in VS Code and look at it. I don't know what I'm thinking.
Yes. All right. I digress. I don't think that's important right now.
Right.
Okay.
But you can see how kind of quickly you're like, okay, well, I got to try and solve this thing or that thing. And now it's like you're wrapping two templates in a div and things like that. It's like, it doesn't feel like the ideal solution, right? It's something that we can get to, but it feels like, could there be more? Like, could there be some other way, right?
Now, keep in mind, with ng container, we're not restricted to just the ng container, right? If we wanted to put a div here and have some sort of like header, we can have additional things inside the template and only swap out portions of the template.
And so that's one of the benefits of doing it in this approach, is having it this options of the approach, is because now we could do like sub chunks of our template be conditional, right? But if we wanted a totally different HTML template for this particular component, right?
Yeah.
And maybe we don't want to control it necessarily inside of the template, but we want to have the parent component, you know, render this one or that one. We can do it with two different components, right? So if we're going to do something like that, like, unless you have more that you want to show in here.
No, I'm good. I think that's good. I just wanted to be able to come in here and just have the parent buttons up here to save on some real estate. That's all.
Right. Okay. So like another option would be to use inheritance, right?
What?
I know, inheritance, right? It's something we could do, though. We could say, like, look, we're going to make a base component class that has our logic for our component, and we're going to use that for two different components, make two different components from that base class, right? So that each component can have their own decorator that has their own template, but yeah, they're sharing the same base logic.
I apologize. I did not want to type inheritance.
That's fine.
All right, so we're going to create a component inside. Actually, for me, it's easier to just go to source app. What do I call that? Extends. From that directory, you want to generate a model, right?
And give us just a parent class.
Yeah, well, let's create the. Oh yeah, we can do class.
Two components and then a class, right?
Okay.
And we can do just the components with everything in line, right? Inline template, inline style.
Yep. Inline template, inline style, inline template with no spec, and also flat.
Cool.
Right. I use my -D.
I like it. I didn't even say anything. I like it.
I like it.
Ooh, it looks good. Okay. All right, you set that up. I'll be right back. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Solo streaming. All right. Bye, Justin. Just me. Hi, everybody. Don't say anything bad about Justin. Leave that to me. I'll take care of that. All right. So we created the first component and creating the second component. There we go. And then if we take a look at ng generate and then we don't specify anything, it should give us a list of all the things we can run. I like the idea of creating a class, as Justin was throwing out. So let's come up and let's generate a class, and let's call this the parent. All right, and then we have a spec file too, so we can test it. Super. All right, so let's close that down. We're going to look at that. And underneath extends, refresh a little bit. We'll have component 1 and component 2 and the parent. And just to be logical, we're going to move parent over here on the left. And let's go in and do something within here. We could take the stuff that we have from our previous component as our logic. Not so much the template stuff, but more so this observable to have that in there. So I'm just going to do a little bit of copy pasta to set things up. Clean this up a little bit. Import that. Import all missing. Look at that. And this is a lifecycle event. And this is going to be implements on init from. Doesn't like that. And I believe that comes from Angular Core. On init from at Angular/core. Good. All right, now we're good. I think I'm going to wait till Justin gets back so we can talk about this together. But as just a review, what we have here is that we now have a parent class implementing on init with an observable of the number, and then we're just setting that up and starting that observable here. But we could probably clean that up a little bit more just by putting this here so it happens immediately. And then all that trouble that I went through to say, hey, I'm implementing on init goes away.
I'm back.
You're back. I didn't want to get too far without you. So what I've done is I just created the components. So close child, because I just went there to steal code, because
okay,
a little bit of copy pasta. So I have component 1 and component 2.
Okay.
And I'm not doing anything with those, but they are part of the module.
Okay.
And speaking of which, with creating the module, the one thing that is not in here is our parent. We have our root component that we're using here, which is just a header with the buttons. Child component, which is still running, and it's been running for almost 3 minutes now. At least since I've clicked the button. Right. And then we have component 1 and component 2, which we just created. But again, no parent, because Angular doesn't need to know about it because it's just a class.
Just a class.
Just a class. Doesn't do anything else.
So this parent component has our logic in it that we want to share.
No, whoa. Oh, class. Parent class. It's not a component.
I'm sorry. Thank you. Our parent class, it has the logic in it that we want to share across these 2 components to effectively have a logic in one class and then be able to use 2 different templates.
You good if I copy? Are we going and doing this, or do you want to talk about it a little bit more?
Nope, we're good.
All right. So in order to get that to work, let's get rid of all of this. We don't need any on init or anything else, but we're going to extend parent. Change spelling to no.
Because I think it's parent. I don't know, keyword.
Import parent from /parent. All right, that's good. I save it and nothing's going to happen. Nothing.
I mean, stuff happened. You just visually don't see anything happen, right?
Yeah, but there's part of the reason for that. Is that in the parent, Sorry, inside of the app component. I'm not. I am all over the place right now. Inside the app components template, there we go. Right, we're still using the old child.
Time for the new child.
So-
Every child gets their time to shine here on NGBS.
Comp one. And now that we put that in here, we should see comp one works. But how do we know what it's doing? Well, we don't have any properties on it, so we can't do any binding, right?
Well, we're extending the parent, so we have the now observable class field. All right.
This is true. So in here, we should be able to bind to that.
Yes.
I'm remembering this pipe async a whole bunch, and I think that the $ helps.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a reminder. It's like, oh, it's an observable. You better pipe that through the async pipe.
Yeah. Yeah.
It does not seem to like that. Do we have any errors? No. I was expecting that to work.
I was expecting it to work too. Yes, comp one.
Yeah, because comp two's got a completely different template.
Yes, comp one.
It's an inline template. And the space should get that to show up. Yes.
Set the observable to an interval.
Yep, we don't need to subscribe because the async pipe does our subscription for us. Let's double check I'm not doing anything crazy. That should have errored. Intervals not defined, sure. Okay. So all I did was move the logic from the parent to the child. And that works. Because by default, this is public. You just don't need to specify it. But if I were to comment that out and uncomment the parent and save both of them.
Were they not saved? Maybe one of them wasn't saved. Maybe the child, maybe the parent wasn't saved.
That's a possibility.
Gotta
Right,
save.
but now it's the parent.
All right, now it looks like it's working.
Yeah, let's double check. So we're going to pipe this through map and x, and we're going to return x times 2. Right?
All right.
All right. Wow, you don't want to do any of that for me. All right.
I like your orange accent colors. That's kind of cool.
Thank you. Just to double check that the parent is getting this and handling this, then we should get all the evens.
2, 4, 6, 8. Who do we appreciate? Rocky.
Operators. Operators. Go operate. Nerd jokes. Love them.
Getting our cheer on. Hey, check this out, dude. Remember this?
I remember that.
Got my polar bear crooked.
That makes me want to get Cookie Monster.
Yeah, Cookie Monster. I think the last time I wore this was when we were doing the Angular Air sessions at NG Cruise. I probably wore it on in Angular Air after that, but that's the memorable time I wore it. When you wore your Cookie Monster and I wore my Polar Bear.
I remember packing that and my wife looking at me because she went with us on the cruise, looking at me like, we're going to the Caribbean on a cruise and you are packing that? Because the thing is, it looks great and I absolutely love it, but it has to be one of the warmest things I've ever put on my head.
Yeah, I agree. That thing is huge. Got the bust off the stream. We'll give all of our Narwhalians some love here with the narwhal hat. Which way do I got to point it so you can see it?
Yeah, but they're all overseas, aren't they? Well,
it's true. They're probably not even awake right now. Is it? Well, it's morning now. It's almost morning, probably.
What is it? It's 6 hours for me, so it's what, 4:30 in the morning?
I'm so bad with time zones. I mean, I know your time zone. That's about it.
Let's look at this. What time is it in London? It's 3:38.
Yeah, all right. So they're, probably not early risers, but maybe.
Well, they are either sound asleep or still out drinking.
True. They're out talking Angular.
You know what? I just checked. We have 9 people watching right now. Maybe that's them.
And 8 of them are in London at Angular Connect. Still right?
I think that's fair.
All right.
But yeah, our chat's been slow. So if you have any questions or anything else with what we're doing,
I think we put everybody to sleep. Maybe.
All right. But I don't want this on the new line.
Okay.
I want it next to it in the span.
I see what you're doing. So in component 2, we want it to be structured a little differently here.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, because we're not building an application here. We're just talking through the concepts, right?
Well, and I heard that like in our A/B testing, we really want to see like, do people even care about seeing the fact that the component works? So maybe in the test case 2 for component 2, we don't even have the component works text, right?
Ooh, in here?
Yeah, like just delete that. Like we don't care about that, right? We want to see, do people like component 1 where it actually says, hey, this thing is working, or do they prefer component 2? And what draws them to be more interested in our app? And so we're doing some A/B testing here with these 2 different templates, right?
Yeah, but it's telling me that it has no idea what that is.
Well, did you inherit?
I did not.
Give it some of those parent genes. Ancestry.com, right?
Oh, this one likes it. So maybe it was parent that wasn't saved. Because remember, it was like, hey, we think you may have misspelled this.
You want a lowercase p for parent, right?
Yeah. Thank you, Justin. You got rid of my squiggles.
Hey.
I'm going to try something new. I'm going to go up to the file menu and hit save.
Now that's old school.
Yeah, but we're still showing component 1 in the parent.
Yeah, because that's while we're rendering, right?
Yeah. So here we should get rid of that, and the number should be up around here. And it is.
Yeah.
So we have all the same logic, but 2 completely different templates?
2 templates. We actually ended up with 2 different components, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so it provides a solution. It works, but I think one of the things that I start thinking about with that is that we actually get 2 components compiled, right, out of Angular's compiler, and we get 2 classes, JavaScript classes, right? So TypeScript's going to transpile those, and we're actually just going to end up with, or we're going to end up with two JavaScript classes. So there's some overhead with that, right? When really all we're trying to accomplish is say, use this markup or that markup, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's a challenge, and certainly probably might not feel that overhead so much in a small app or something, but it aggregates over time, it accrues over time. right? So you get larger app and larger money, and you're implementing something like A/B testing strategies all over the place. Then you have, it compounds, right? Because all this stuff, again, Angular is going to build all this markup and CSS and JavaScript and put it into a chunk of JavaScript that it knows how to run, right? And that goes into our bundle, and each component has its own footprint with all its little bits that need to go along with it, right?
Yeah. So this is the aspect of where our A/B testing would come in.
Right. It's got some logic in this parent component and it says, hey, if this case, do the one, show this component, otherwise show that component. But at the heart of it, as developers, we're developing essentially one component logic, but two templates for it, right? And so that gets us a solution that we can do, but
with a little bit of a trade-off.
Yeah.
But I want to go back to our Angular Air episode where we had Lance on. And remember how he got a whole lot of performance gains out of his testing was by not using test bed. Now, when we generated these, we decided to use inline templates and inline styles. But the other thing we did was no spec file. So when we generated this, we don't have a spec for either of those components, which to me is fine because aside from that comment, there's nothing in here to test.
Right.
So all we need to do for our spec is it creates in here, and we could write all of our tests without using test bed to run super fast and just test once for both components.
Right.
I like that aspect of this approach here.
Because all of our logic is within this class, really. Right.
Very true. Yes.
Within this parent class, we need parent. And it can still have, we can still have like lifecycle hooks and everything. I'm assuming in that. I don't know. Let's check. I don't know if I've ever done that with inheritance. Yeah. Could we have this implement on a init or something?
Yeah, because, well, let's take a look at that. Can we do this? Yep, perfect. And yep, it's going to tell us, hey, you're not doing that. All right, so we'll implement it. And move this up here. How many equals do I need? Just one?
Just one.
But before we save and take a look, let's go ahead and look at the definition of what this actually is. It's just an interface.
Just an interface. That ensures that we implement that method, right? That TypeScript's telling us that, hey, you have to have this method name on your class.
Yep. Which is nice because we don't have to worry about anything else. So by saying that we're implementing that interface is that our class, not our component, but our class implements this one function called ng-on-init that takes no parameters and returns type void.
Right.
Which is what we did. So
all right.
That'll work.
And since we're using inheritance and that component one class inherits from this, it's going to get, as we saw, it got the class fields, public class fields like now, $, right? That can be accessed from that instance. It's also going to get class methods like ng-on-init available to it. And so when Angular calls the ng-on-init method on that particular component, component one, it's there because it inherited from this parent class, which had it.
So in here, and say we create the constructor, which I believe is going to yell at us.
This is where like there's the trade-off, right? This is where I wanted to get to, where we say, cool, we've got this inheritance. We say, well, okay, well, let's say we're going to be okay with inheritance, right? Over composition maybe, and we're going to use this. Okay, it gets us a nice way. But then as soon as we have a constructor, things start to get a little tricky.
Well, it's not too bad. I mean, if there's a constructor, then we need to worry about injecting different services, right? To be able to specify what's being injected in the constructor. I was just using the constructor as a means to show that we can tell what's been implemented on it. I mean, this, quite frankly, could just be foo, which is just a function on here.
But this is a perfect segue to the other part that kind of hits me as a snag, right? So like you're saying, you see, so we see that we have all, just like typical inheritance, we have access to those class fields and properties that are public or protected, right?
Yep.
But let's say we go into our parent class and now we want to make use of an injected something in the constructor, right? So we want to give it a constructor and we want to inject the document token that Angular provides, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, we don't want to use that. Well, we can. Is that the right one?
And we want to do here. I'm gonna hop in here and out real quick.
Go ahead. Yes.
Right. And then what is it? It's control period. What brings up the
command dot?
Command period. And inject. And then we're going to go command period, import. Okay.
Thank you.
Right?
Yep.
So now we're saying our class is going to have a constructor, and it's going to do some construction injection of the document injection token that Angular provides. Right? So kind of like service, but we didn't go create a service. We had something that we can inject, right?
Yeah, just something in, Angular provides this mechanism to be able to get access to the documents.
Okay, so now we've got that in our constructor, and say we used it somewhere in our class, whatever, right? But now if we go back over to like component one,
you know what? I'm going to follow you.
I have to save it too.
I'm following you now.
I'm driving then. All right, did you save it? Did I have to save it? I have to save it. Save it. Okay. So now I go to component one. Was that where you were doing this stuff? Component one. Yeah. Now my constructor.
I deleted the constructor.
Gotcha. Okay, so now my constructor is going to complain, right? And it's going to complain because when we do a constructor,
I can get the complaint. Yep.
We have to call super, right? Yeah,
exactly.
For derived classes must call super. So that's kind of one of the caveats that we have to do within TypeScript is we have to call super, which is the reference to the parent one, right?
Correct.
And now we see we can't just call super because super has that new injection, right? That it needs. It needs that document. So now I've got to bring in that same thing, right? Unless there's some magic way to do this, but I'm coming in here and I'm going like this, and I'm going, okay, I need this same thing. I need to bring that into here. Of course, I need to see, I gotta give it into here.
Oh yeah, you need it as a parameter into the document,
right? So now things are getting really messy for me in terms of reuse of this. Now it becomes complicated, right?
But not only that, but keep in mind that since you're doing that within here, it also needs to be done inside the other component as well.
Right. So now I've done this, but it needs to be, it needs to be done
in any of the child components that have a constructor.
I mean, if I have a constructor. So if I didn't need a constructor, then I'd probably be okay, right? We could change that parent as much as we want and not have to worry about it because we're never calling a constructor from any of the other components that are inheriting from this, right?
Correct. But to give a counterpoint, the idea of the child class using its constructor is a deviation away from the idea of what we're aiming to accomplish with this, which is essentially one piece of logic with multiple templates. There should really be no need to add anything to that child constructor at this point.
I completely agree that what we're trying to do is say 2 templates for one component. How do we do that? Really, the idea would be that this component just becomes a shell. We just care about the template, right? And maybe some styles, and we don't care about the logic in here. It's all driven from the parent. So we would not have anything inside of this component 1 and component 2. and then we shouldn't run into that scenario, right?
Correct.
Yep, I agree. I wonder if there's any way to do like some type of interface. Wouldn't it be cool if like in TypeScript we can come in here and say implements no constructor.
Ooh.
So that we
can't do implements because
do that, right?
I thought for a reason, can interfaces have constructors?
I don't think so.
Yeah. So,
but you want like the absence of one. You want to like enforce that there's not one there, right?
Yes.
So then people don't accidentally go, oh, well, hey, I think that's cool. I need a different service here. So let me just bring that in, right?
Yeah.
How do you enforce that pattern? Another episode. Right?
Well, there's one easy way.
Sometimes that's, what you need to do.
Yes.
Probably the fastest way to get that solved, right? Provided nobody deletes that comment.
Exactly. I have one small problem though.
Which problem? Oh, are you okay? Am I going solo for a minute here?
Yeah. I need to go grab another beer. I'll be right back.
All right.
Oh, I should turn my screen off. Look at me.
There you go. Turn your mic off too.
Fine. Picky.
All right. Just looking out. Yeah. So, okay. That's interesting. So, I mean, I like this concept that we've got. And he, of course, I could stop sharing his screen. I could share my screen. But since I think he's following me, I'm just going to keep seeing let's see if I go somewhere else. Boom. Yeah, cool. That's pretty crazy that I'm doing edits in my VS Code. He's sharing his screen, and I can kind of control what everybody's seeing because his VS Code is following where my user is. Wizard of technology is pretty cool. Magic of technology, not wizard. I don't know what I'm talking about. All right. So this component, this inheritance, I kind of like it. I'm feeling okay about it, other than those sort of things where it's like, how do you enforce these things? How do you enforce somebody does not code here, right? And, those sort of things are, I'd like to be a better world, but I guess that's, this is doable, where we say now we have these two components, right? But I mean, I guess you also have this overhead, though. I think the other things I start thinking about is this overhead. So if I'm going to go to, where is this at? The app module, right? And I come into here in this app module. Well, now we have to declare component 1 and component 2, bring those into our module and set those up just to have them available because they're components, right? We had to do that in order to, Mike's watching this stream while he's out. Nice.
All right, so you are still keeping an eye on the chat, even though I wasn't here. Okay, cool.
Well, I got to see it. It's like the first chat we've had in like hours. I guess not. Yeah. So this scenario with these two components that we have, it works, but some of the challenges is the fact that now, okay, we've got to declare those both in the module, right? Because they're components. So we need to make sure that they're brought in like that. Of course, we're using this module in some other place, and we'd have to export those as well. We start getting some extra code, right, around the scaffolding of pulling this off, where to me, it would feel like it'd be really great if I could just say this template or this template and some logic, right? And just have one component and not have to deal with all the other things that come along with being a component, right? Now, there's some things that we're going to get with Ivy and things coming forward where maybe we don't need components inside of modules and we could render them with just a function call and things like that. But I think there's still, in this pattern, there'd still be that scenario where there's some ceremony and things that have to go on in order to completely pull it off, right? And that's why I think about like Ivy and I talk about this new render and things like that. Some of the things that pop into my head with Ivy that might be cool to find out to do. One of them would be, could we have ability to say, my template's not HTML, my template is Markdown, right? And I write it in Markdown, and then using extending the IV render or plugging in or additional render, have the ability to easily program that and set that up so that I could use Markdown. It would know how to interpret that and convert that to the final rendering, right?
I like that idea. Rather than using a separate library to do it as part of the renderer versus using a third-party library to convert Markdown to HTML.
Right. So then I take that a little further. That's where I kind of go to this. Okay, well, if I could do that, couldn't I like add a render logic some way that would allow me to conditionally render one or two templates, right? That sort of thing. And so I don't know if Ivy, and it'll be fun to kind of hack around and see it at some point, but maybe Ivy is going to open the door that we could accomplish something like this, right?
It's a very interesting scenario. And I know that one of the goals with Ivy also is to be able to do real-time translations on the client side. So to me, that's a very similar paradigm, because then you're essentially changing the content dynamically, but it's not necessarily a different template. It's a different service, so something else that would be injected directly.
Right.
Of how it actually gets the, or I'm assuming it would be some type of service structure to be able to get that data out.
Right. Hey, I'm Hacker. I'm Hacker joined us. Saying hi. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what doors get unlocked once that key is here.
Right. And is it something that's going to allow us as developers to add more extension in there, right? Like, are we going to be able to write our own little mini renders and plug them in places, right, where we could accomplish,
or even just extensions to the existing render, rather than having to go through full blown to write something else, or just extensibility points.
Right. Now I know, can't we use SVG as our template right now?
Yes.
I haven't done that yet. Have you done that? Can we do that real quick? I don't know if we can do it real quick. Is there anything quick with SVGs unless you've already got an SVG ready? I don't know. You made our logo with SVG, right?
I may have.
You hacked on it and everything. That's pretty wizard.
All right, let's see here. What am I doing? Let's go back to our root, create a new component, and we're just going to call this SVG play. That work for you?
That works for me.
And while we do that, let me go and find, not you, go over here. In my documents, I've got our logo. All right, look, we have an SVG.
We have an SVG.
Yeah. So let's take that SVG, and then you can open SVG play HTML. Can we do that?
But I think we can use the SVG extension as, instead of like an HTML file, point to an SVG file, right?
Well, hold on. Let's baby steps. Baby steps.
All right.
All right. So we want SVG play.
Did you get your mechanical keyboard yet?
I know. I'm not in the market.
I thought you were in the market. I thought we were synced up on this. We're both gonna have mechanical keyboards.
I'm not.
Oh, all right. Go. That's because they don't. I don't know if they make mechanical keyboards like that, right?
I have not found an ergonomic mechanical keyboard that I like. All right. So I think you know what? Let's do this. Where's our? Let's close everything else. What? So there's our HTML, SVG play.
That fancy logo.
I want to do color. Give me a color.
Blue.
All right, let's do that. What are you complaining about, Lint?
Who uses double quotes these days? Single quotes.
Fixed declarations. All right, I have to move that. I have to move that up. I'm sorry. It was yelling at me. All right, so we're doing blue. So if we go through this SVG and the stroke on these, because I've got two things here. So this is the B. So instead of doing that, I'm just trying this here.
Like it. So we're not only just going to try to get this SVG in here instead of an HTML, but we're also going to try and do some binding inside of there, some template syntax, huh? All right.
Try that. It's like, no, you can't do that.
Well, this is inside your HTML, right? Where are you at here?
Yeah, this is the HTML. This is the SVG inside of the HTML.
Right.
All right. So you're saying you want to try? Let's not do that.
First of all, why is that not working?
I don't know. I don't want any sass.
Look at mine.
I feel like I'm talking to my daughters.
I don't want any sass. You could be talking to me. I mean, I give you sass sometimes.
That's true. I'm okay with that though. None of that. All right. Let's get back to our original error. It's like, hey, you can't do that. All right. Cool.
Oh, I know why.
Why?
Because stroke is what is it an attribute?
Yeah.
So you got to do the attribute stroke, ATTR stroke.
Ooh.
It's not a property. The error message tells us that. That's what's nice about the Angular error messages. How about that?
Am I blue?
You're blue. Well, you're blue.
Oh,
What color I wanted to be.
I haven't gotten there yet.
All right, all right. Well, that's good because I want that blue. I want more of a royal blue.
Hold on for a second. Wow.
A light.
Ooh, my C key's messed up.
Time for a new keyboard. Yes. Mechanical time. I like it.
All right.
When life breaks your C key.
Justin wants his own color. Yeah, my C key is messed up, buddy. All right. All right.
I'll take pink. Well, I don't know if it's going to render on that red, but we'll see. Hey, it kind of does.
It'll re-render. Hold on.
Mine in my browser is all set. It works.
Yeah, I saved twice. So there's your.
Right. Okay, so you have this in your HTML. Got it.
Yeah, my C key is messed up, man.
Aww.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. All right. Well, hey, we're green, so we can mess with SVGs.
Okay, but now let's do the new thing, which is I think you can use the SVG extension or something, can't you?
I don't know.
I'm really just throwing darts up there. I forget. I remember seeing this, some comment about this. I don't fully know.
Yep.
So you renamed the file to SVG.
And I said that the template URL is coming from the SVG.
Okay.
And we can then set properties on it. Sorry, attributes. Sorry, Goose.
Attributes. So what is that anything specific with SVGs and HTML? I mean, is there?
I don't think so.
Can it be any other file extension? Will it render it? Does it have to be something that has markup in it?
Interesting question. Justin, it's an interesting question.
Yeah. What if it's just an extension?
Did
that work?
It did.
Okay. So it's really not anything specific to the SVG extension. It's just
whatever
the content is in there, right? Does the content have to be markup? What if that was like JSON data? What if you comment all that out? Yeah, or cut it out. And
what do you want? Data.
Sure.
The food.
It's going to be all mad. Yeah. Yeah. So it's trying to take whatever, it's reading that file and trying to interpret it as markup, right? So as long as that file has markup in, wait, what? Maybe not, dude.
It didn't want to type my C.
I don't even know what's going on now.
What was happening is that in markup, if this was an object bar,
yeah,
it doesn't know how to manage this as part of the template.
Right.
Because this isn't valid HTML.
Right. So it's just reading the string and it's like trying to, it's parsing it as if it's HTML content, right?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
So now we're back to this. But what if we...
What's special about SVG, other than the fact that like an SVG file would be markup, right? Would be valid markup. So it's able to process that.
So we can do a circle, right?
I mean, you're the SVG wizard of us two.
I don't know. I'm not there. All right.
I really handwrite my SVGs.
SVG circle.
I like it.
They got to give us an example, right? Look at that. I like it. Except, you know what? Yeah, that C is definitely shot. Oh, no. You have left the collaborations. Oh, no, you're back in the collaboration.
I know. It said that I was out of sync, so I had to reconnect. That's what it told me.
All right, so what do we have? We have an X. Let's do that. HEDR dot.
Right. So we kind of deviated and went to this SVG thing, but I think I could kind of tie it back in here. Like, what if you wanted to say either display an icon or the actual text, right? And so you're experimenting with, in some cases, I want to have an icon that shows up, and I use an SVG for that. In other cases, I want to have just plain text show up. But I wanted to store those and work on those in two separate templates. Like, I think actually this is a good example because like the SVG content to render this SVG, it's a fair amount of DOM, right?
Yeah.
And like, if we were say like, hey, we need to make a tweak to the one that just shows text, well, that'd be a lot of stuff to have to work through just to kind of ignore to see just the text part, right? So it'd be really nice to say, I want to work on the component instance template where it's just the text, because now it's really clean, or I want to work on the one that's just the SVG. Mm-hmm. And so that'd be another case where having multiple templates for the same component you can start thinking about these sort of things, and that would be where it'd be nice rather than having those. Because we took our previous example, we had an ng container and two ng templates. One ng template would have this SVG markup in it, and one would have our just basic text, and it'd all be in one HTML file, right?
Yeah.
Harder to kind of look at and work with over time and things like that. So that's where that separation would be really cool if we had a way to do that.
I'm not doing anything here. Oops. Am I good here? Am I getting a slider? Yes. Cool. So whenever this changes, log $event dot details dot value. Oh, target dot value, right? Where's V?
Target.
Yep. All right, target. All right, and then we can say this dot. Let's change the radius because that'll probably be easiest. Is going to be equal to that. But let's also change X and Y so that they're all the same.
Now you're just having fun with SVGs.
I am, but it's cool because then we combine to all of that, right?
Yeah.
And then that's changed, but we could also change that to the inputs, right? Shouldn't that have? Doesn't that fire all the time, continuously? Yeah. All right, I'm just going to be here doing this for the rest of the.
It really bakes the noodles. And not only does it resize, but it almost like follows your slider. Right? It goes
Well,
sideways.
doing the X and the Y.
Yeah.
Yeah, but definitely in this range, it definitely. So let's change max to like, I don't know, 75. This way it doesn't get too big. But now it'll proportionally, should be a little bit different.
Yeah.
So down to there.
Neat.
Yeah.
Cool.
Which would be cool for a data visualization, right?
Yeah.
Ooh. Oh, I gotta do this now. I have to. Sorry. Now we can say interval. It's gonna be interval of every, I don't know, 10th of a second. We are going to map pipe map x is going to be returning x modulus 50 plus 10 this way the minimum. You know what I'm doing?
I don't know where you're going with this.
Okay. We're subscribing. We're getting X. Yeah, X is fine. And then inside of here, that, and we don't want that here. That's X. Way too slow. All right, I'm happy. Yes.
I like it. All right.
And then obviously you could apply a different math function so that it doesn't just reset back to 0.
Yeah. All right, dude, I'm tired. Are you tired? It must be tired. It must be late for you.
It's 11:15 here. Yeah, I'm pretty late, but I'm happy with what we did. So we did some really cool things. You want to recap real quick and then call it a night? All right.
Yeah. Set out to try and figure out what ways that we have currently in Angular to kind of handle multi-template approaches to our components. And the initial one was doing it inside of a component, right, with ng container and then 2 ng templates within one HTML file.
Right. Using this here and then some sort of input to change which one of these templates gets rendered inside of this particular container.
Right. So the template outlet, ng template outlet structural directive will allow us to like use logic to determine which template to show. And so we could organize into 2 different views essentially for the one component. All of that markup would be within one HTML file. So we'd have it all in one spot. A little bit more challenging to manage, but it allows us to accomplish that, right? So something we can pull off today in Angular.
Exactly. And the other approach we did is to have a parent class. And notice I said class, not component again, just to reiterate, is that this is just a class, not just, but a class that doesn't have the @component decorator. But what we're able to do from that, I'm able to control click. Oh yeah, let's open the side. Look at both of these side by side. And then what we have from that parent then is a child component that is full screen. That's extending the parent. So basically give me everything that my parent has done, which has the lifecycle event and this public property, but use this particular template.
So we solve that through inheritance. So we put all of our logic inside of that parent class, and then we'd have 2 components. So we'd have our templates separate for each of those, right?
But still using all of the logic that's defined inside of the parent here and here with 2 different templates. So just the paragraph tag for component 2, whereas this one has something else or something different. So 2 different templates, albeit a simple example, but just to show that you could have different templates using all the same logic.
And that felt really good because we have the separate templates, easier to manage, easier to focus on what you're doing for the particular one or the other, right? But it did have some caveats, like the intent was that the parent class would handle all the logic, all the class fields. And so in our components that inherit from that, we really don't want those to be doing any type of implementation of a constructor or anything on its own, right? Because we want that all derived from the other. But there really wasn't a way for us to lock that down to ensure that people didn't or followed that practice, right? Other than our inline comment of do not code here, right?
Absolutely. And then also you brought up the point of if additional things get added to the constructor and the child, or if you try to use the child's constructor, you then need to make sure that you pass those values up to the parent as well, because you have to call super if you have a constructor implemented.
Right. So that's why in this approach, we really want to be thinking in terms of just this one component that extends, the other one that extends. They don't do anything in their class files. It's all driven by the parent one, right?
Correct.
So that again is another solution that gets us close to what we want, but it does put some more onus on us as developers to follow a pattern. Doesn't provide us some way to like lock us down so we don't accidentally get ourselves in a situation where we might not want to be, right?
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
And then unless you want to talk about this solution a little bit more or not.
No, that's it.
Okay. Why don't you turn off the screen share and this way I'll just be us for a second. Thank you. So I can look at you on my screen. The other thing that we talked about is the possibility that Ivy could unlock the ability to change the render as well. to be able to dynamically, in a different means aside from the ng template and ng outlet, or excuse me, ng container, to be able to render that way, or with using inheritance, but potentially a different mechanism, maybe through some sort of dynamic function, to be able to swap out the templates at runtime, which would be rather slick as well.
Yeah. And I think that would be kind of the ideal landing spot if we're able to get there, where we just manage 2 HTML files, 1 component class file, and can kind of orchestrate that all together, right?
Yeah, and go back to what we were playing with initially, of having the template set to a function that would then have the logic to be able to determine which one to specify.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, there's some interesting things there. And then we went into the idea of having your template be an SVG. So you can use an SVG file directly as your template and control values in the SVG through data binding, which is pretty cool.
Yep. And we learned from that it's really any file extension, as long as it has HTML-like content inside of it, right? Or content that could be parsed as valid HTML when Angular goes to take that content in and do its magic on the template.
Correct. The nice thing about SVGs is the browser are really efficient in terms of rendering SVGs. So you can animate those and change values very easily. Justin.
What?
I'd like to animate SVGs.
All right. Well, we talked about doing one where we hack around on animation.
Yeah, but now I want to take the idea of changing animations or using animations, but also using animations inside of SVGs.
Okay.
Animate SVGs. Does that sound like next week's show? Or at least a possibility for next week's show?
Yeah. Yeah, let's do some animation stuff next week.
Cool.
I think that'd be cool.
If there's something that anybody watching wants to see next week, let us know.
Yeah.
Oh, be sure to follow us.
We get to do whatever we want until, people start watching and saying, I want to see this.
Well, I don't want to take that away. People are watching.
Oh, okay, yeah, sure. No, I'm saying they are watching. As soon as people start saying, I would like to hear you talk about this, right?
That's true.
I want to do that.
Yeah, hit us up on Twitter, either of us directly or through the, you want to throw up the Twitter handle again? At NGBS_show. Follow us there. Follow us on Twitch.
Yes.
Definitely check
twitch.tv/NGBS, right?
And then on Twitter, it's at NGBS_show.
So we're going to try and be tweeting out when we're going to stream, right? But if you follow on Twitch, then Twitch will notify you as soon as we go live. So, you won't know at a time, but you'll know that we're actually live. So a couple ways, right? Right now, we're kind of on this cadence of Wednesday nights. It'll probably stick that way for now.
Yeah, I think I'm free next Wednesday.
Awesome. All right, dude. It's always fun. I love it. All right, should we sign off?
Yeah, we have no official way to sign off. So
until we don't have like a sign off screen or anything. So later.